Hello and welcome to our show. I'm your host, Jann. Now, Vermont is legendary in the autumn. You know, the colors of the trees are vibrant, and we are so lucky that we get to look around and see all these different colors. Now, you can bring some of that color indoors by making your own autumn woodland. These are all made out of paper tubes, toilet paper tubes, TP tubes as I call them. So I hope you save yours because we use them now and then throughout the year. You can also, this is from a paper towel, and this is long, this also works. And I will show you in a bit how to make them using a grocery bag, cut it, or construction paper, or any kind of recycled paper, because you can paint it. Now, I'll give you an idea about the animals. There's even a skunk. They're all different heights. So this is a deer. Now, deer can be good for winter also, for the holidays, with maybe one deer, one tree. You can either do a large scene like this, or just something really small, depending on how much space you have. Or you can do something even bigger. It's a wonderful project for a family if you do a really big one, or a classroom even. So going back to the animals, here's a little fox. He has a tail attached. You see the skunk. Mushrooms are fun in a forest or woodland, and they're nice and low, and they can be any color you like. So it's nice to have things different heights. There's a chipmunk here with his raised tail. There's a purple moose. That's as wild as I got here. You can make your animals and trees any color you like. That will make it your own. There's a bear hiding, a black bear, Vermont black bear, hiding behind the trees. There's a short little fluffy owl. And there's another owl hiding back here. And then the trees are all different shapes. This one has a purple trunk. That's not too wild. And you can paint some texture on there. Notice that everything is connected at the side, and that's what helps it stand up. There's a cottage in the woods, little hot pink one with a blue roof. Tear-shaped tree. All the trees are different shapes. Oval tree. Now, to make the zigzag tree, what I did was fold a piece of scrap paper in half and then draw a line to give an idea of the size I wanted. And then I drew the little zigzag on top, cut it out, opened it up, and then traced it onto a flat tube like that, and then cut it out. So that's how I got that one. This one is just a series of round, like half circles. And again, it has a round base. So let me show you what you can do if you don't have 100 of these lying around. What you can do, I've measured the tube. If you take a piece of paper, this is construction paper, and cut a piece that's 6 inches across and 4.5 inches down. And then I'm going to lay this down to give you an idea. Because we work with these pressed flat, it's easy to glue this together. You press about 1/4 of it over, and press this over so it overlaps, and then glue this edge about 1/2 inch, and then fold it over, press it, and let it dry. And then you have this. So that works really well. Now you can also make it longer if you wish, or narrower. You can customize your rolls here. This is from a grocery bag, and this just might be my favorite. So you can also use scrap paper, any color, and then paint it. Now if you paint, which you probably will, you need something to put the paint on, a palette, we call it in the world of art. You'll need a brush, water to clean your brush, and then some paint. Any colors you like. Now I'll start to show you how we do this with a homemade tube that I've actually made a little bit longer. And this is a tree, and I'll show you several ways to do it. So I've marked it out. Now you should do it with pencil because then it won't show too much. I'm going to cut this out to give you an idea. I'll cut on those lines. And what I'm doing here is making sure the tree is attached at the edge. I can cut out part of it, but I always want to leave a little bit that's attached. I'll show you 3 ways to make a tree base, that is. Keep cutting it, and then I'll do the other side. And I keep cutting out these triangles. This makes kind of a classic tree, like a pine tree, sort of. And this is cardstock, which also works. So you have lots of choices. You can have the tube, you can have construction paper, you can have cardstock. Now this is a tree that has a solid base, no trunk. You want to press it open a little bit, and then it stands like that. Now I'll show you how to make a tree with a ring at the bottom so that you have some choices. What I'm going to do is imagine there's a base running across here that I'm going to cut here and here. So I'll cut that out. This is also a stable way to hold your trees if you want. So that's a very thick trunk. It doesn't have to be quite so thick, but you'll see because it's attached at the edge. This also stands up, oh, whoops, stands up quite well. I hope it stands up. Now, for the third choice, this has a trunk only, no ring. So I will just cut this ring off. And this is a very thick trunk. But I just want you to get the idea of the options you have. Now this is the least likely tree to stand up, but it does. So there's trees. Now you can do any shape you want. I've shown you what I've done. The next step are the animals. So you may not want to cut the legs and things like that, but it's not as hard as it might look. But what you can do is take a tube or one that you've made and just paint it. There's a fox, and if you want, you can press the top down like that to make ears, so there's no cutting there. You can also, an adult can cut off the bottom to make something shorter, and the top is pushed in just like the fox. So those are options if you don't want to do a lot of cutting. But if you do want to try and make an animal with legs, here's how you do it. You make an upside down U shape, and then make half of an upside down U shape on each side. And then for the top, you can either cut it all the way off and make the head separate, or cut it much higher and keep the head connected. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to cut that and show you both ways. Okay, it's good to have a nice pair of sturdy scissors. So that's one you cut out. Now I'll cut out the other one. It's good to make the legs not too skinny because they can open up and splay. Okay, now I have the center cut out. Now I'm going to cut out this last one. Now if you draw your legs in pencil, it won't show up so much. So there are the legs. So that's kind of fun. It really looks like an animal. Now I'm going to pretend that I'm making a moose or something, and I'm going to cut this line right here. So the head will be attached to the body. Okay, I will do that next. Cut out the head. Now if it's a moose or something with antlers, I cut those out of another piece of paper and just glue them to the back of the head. I hope this isn't too difficult to see. Okay, so there's an animal, and then cut the head off at the back, of course. So there's an animal with a head attached. That's really good for the moose and the deer, but it can be for any animal. I did it for the skunk. Actually what I did was I cut it off. I'll show you the next version. You can make the body much shorter, and you can also make the legs a lot shorter, like for the skunk. So that's kind of a skunk base. Now I have this. I'm going to cut the head out. So here's a separate head, and you can glue it on at an angle. You can use the extra to make a tail, and then you're good to go. So that's a lot of animals, a lot of trees. And I think even trees, just a bunch of trees, can be really pretty. Maybe one animal, one skunk, whatever you like. So I hope you enjoy autumn in Vermont. It is spectacular. And I hope you enjoy making your own autumn woodland out of recycled materials. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have fun. And if you want to make autumn leaves, you can cut little tiny slivers of the scraps and sprinkle some autumn leaves on. So happy autumn. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to our show. I'm your host, Jann. Halloween is right around the corner, and I have a question for you. Do you believe in ghosts? They're so spooky. Well, I don't have the answer, but I do think it's fun to make ghosts. So we have some for you right here. You can make a little one, a medium-sized one, or a big one. And what you need to make these is cheesecloth, which is an open cotton fabric that you can buy in the grocery store, and something to build your ghost on. It can be something like a paper cup for the little one with a balloon on top. It can be a bottle, a plastic bottle the top has been cut off. It can be an old mason jar. It can be a soup can. Think of something that's recycled that you don't mind glue getting on, because to make the ghost, we'll be mixing half white glue and half water. And that's what we put the fabric in and drape over the form. So today I'm going to show you how to make a large one, a large ghost with hands. You'll need something like this. This is an old mason jar. Pipe cleaners, they can be brand new or they can be recycled. These are wonky. I undid them. We can make two funny antennae. What I'm going to do is now fold them in half and then bend the bottom down about an inch. And I'm going to tape them to the inside of this mason jar. And I'm taping them to the inside. Not that it matters too much, because I think they're going to be a little bit more stable. I'm going to press this up a little bit. And there's one arm. And then I'll press the other pipe cleaner in half and bend the end down about an inch, and then tape it to the other side like this. I put it inside the mason jar and tape it. Now you can also use wire if there's some sort of wire you have. I just happen to have these wonky pipe cleaners. So that looks pretty good. Now I could put a balloon here, or I'm going to use this round ball, but I don't want to destroy it. So what I'm doing is taking a piece of plastic wrap, and this works really well. It's better for me than taping. It's been just super. So I'm putting the plastic wrap on top of the ball and just pressing it to the jar. I'm going to turn it around to the other side. And that works really well. Sort of protects the ball. And just keeps it in position too. So there we go. Okay. That's a ghost in the making. The next step is to take the cheesecloth, it comes folded, several folds, undo a section and drape a little bit in front of it because that's what's going to keep the ghost standing up. And I'll let it keep a little excess in the back. Take a pair of scissors and just cut that off. This is a little bit messy, but messy can be really good. Now I'm going to open this up. My ghost, or Chelsea's ghost, is the little one. She and her children made that one. I think it's so cute. Now think about where you want your ghost to be, and that will help you determine what size you want to make. Also, if you use double thickness, it makes a sturdier ghost. Now if you use one thickness, which is what I used here and here, it becomes more translucent, which to me is very ghost-like. So the next thing, sort of bunch this up, and this is the messy part, is soak it in this glue and water mixture. And notice I have wax paper covered over cardboard taped so that I don't ruin the surface of where I'm working. And then squeeze out the extra glue. Because we really just want it to be coated but not soaking. Just squeeze out that extra glue. And then open it up. Or try to open it up. And I think I'm going to stand up to get this going because I'm making a big one. So I'll just keep some of this in the back. Just open it up to the best of your ability. And then I will stand up to try and get this over in the front. And then arrange the bottom so it's sort of curving. There, I think that's good enough. And drape it over the arms. This you can adjust because it takes a day or two for the glue to dry. You want it to be really solid before you take it off the form. And I want to scoot this down so you can really see the shape of the arm, like that. And then the back. See how the edges are kind of round here and here? It's very pretty looking, and maybe that's how ghosts really look, I'm not sure. And Halloween is so much fun. It's almost as much fun as trick-or-treating is to make the decorations. So there's your ghost. Try and get the sides together too. And let that dry for a day or two. And it's always nice to keep something on hand to wipe your hands with. And the next thing is you can make little decorations. Once your ghost is dry, you can cut eyes and maybe a mouth if you want out of black felt. You can also use paper, but felt is kind of sticky, so it really attaches with white glue or hot glue to the dry ghost. You can make a little hat if you want for your ghost. You can make a little pumpkin to decorate your ghost. And you can also make bats. And you can hot glue these on. I don't know if it's gonna stick, or maybe even a nice to have of white glue. But it's kind of fun to decorate your ghost. You can also have a little garland that says boo or something like that, Happy Halloween, which is a lot to write in a little banner, but you have lots of options. Now, if you want to make a hat, I traced around a 6-inch bowl and then cut out a circle. I made this template out of scrap paper. Cut the circle in half, and then you can bend it like this, and then you have a hat. And then you can use this to trace it onto the black paper or whatever paper you have you want to make it. So just fold it like this and then glue it shut, and then glue it to the top of the ghost. So happy Halloween. I know you're going to have so much fun putting on a costume, dressing up, and going door to door, trick-or-treating. Candy, popcorn, who knows what treats you'll get. But have a really good time, and thank you for watching, and enjoy making your own scary ghosts. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to our show. I'm your host, Jann. Thanksgiving is creeping up on the calendar, and it's one of my favorite holidays. I love to celebrate it with family and friends and perhaps a few strangers and give thanks for all the good things in our lives. So I'm really grateful. And then we celebrate the harvest with a wonderful, bountiful meal. And my favorite part is dessert. So actually, I like everything. But I thought we could also have some fun on Thanksgiving, some homemade fun. And we can recycle an old cardboard box into a beanbag toss. And I'll show you how to do it. We can paint it. It can be sort of an elaborate design like this. It can be, and have stripes on the side. I used this kind of brush, but you can also use one of those sponge brushes because it's got a flat edge, straight edge, and that's really good for stripes. I did mark the stripes with a ruler, but you don't have to. You can do freehand. And there's a zillion things you can do to decorate it. You can also do something more simple. Just a few pumpkins, a few fall leaves. You can even trace around some leaves you pick up. Can be all leaves in different colors. That could be beautiful. Or it could be something like the kids dip their hands in paint. I don't think adults are going to be too happy with this, and put their handprints all over it and then sign their name and the date. So it's endless what you can do. So the first step is to get a box. A pretty nice sized box. You don't want it to be too little. But I'm going to use this tiny box to give you the idea. You want one side to be higher than the other. An adult is going to have to cut this. This is definitely an adult's territory. So using this just to give you an idea, you want a diagonal line, and one side will be shorter than the other, and you mark both ends too. And then you can either start to cut it, you being the adult, start to cut it assembled or open it out flat, whatever is easiest. And I do recommend drawing the opening, I traced around a CD, after it's all marked and maybe after it's cut, because that way you get the hole at the right end. It was very easy to draw the hole at the wrong end. I know because I did it, but at least I didn't cut it. So I'm going to show you how to assemble the box once it's open and flat. That's when I found it easiest to paint. I just drew on it with a pencil and then painted it. And these are sort of autumnal colors, that you usually see around Thanksgiving. So I'll show you how to assemble it. I'm not going to glue it, I'll just show you how to do it. So the first step to mark the glued areas is to pull up one side and then mark it right here and then right here. And then when you open it, and then I put an X on it, because that helps me remember what side to glue. And do that for both sides. And then fold this up, and then put glue here. It can be hot glue or white glue. I used white glue. So put a nice coat of glue here, and then fold this up, sides in first, glue it, and then clamp it with whatever clamps you have. I keep clothespins handy. I find they're so useful. And this will dry in about a day or two. You want to make sure it's really totally dry. And I recommend doing this long before Thanksgiving. Okay, this is marked, these are glued, and then we pull the sides in, pull this up like this, and then clamp them. And I would let it dry for a couple of days at least and really clamp it. So that way it's nice and sturdy. So it's going to look something like this. And then let's talk about bean bags, because you can't have a game without bean bags, bean bag toss. So I used 2 colors of felt in one of the colors here because I thought it was more fun. They can be one color. I traced around a glass. I made it about 1 inch smaller than the hole. That's my best guess. I don't know if that's exactly right, but it seems fairly good. And then the bean bag can be stitched together by hand with a whip stitch going around and around, or machine stitch, or you can glue it. And I tested white glue and it didn't work, it didn't hold. So I used hot glue. So when you glue these together or stitch them together, leave an opening about like this, and then put in dried beans. And I like small dried beans because I think they work they're a little bit less lumpy. And I measured, I put 1/4 cup of beans in each one so that they would be consistent. And probably 6 bean bags or whatever you get, just 2 pieces of felt might be a good number. So after you put the beans in, then you can stitch it or glue it and then clamp it. Again, those wonderful clothespins, and let that dry till it's nice and dry. And then you can start playing a beanbag toss. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, from the heart. I hope it's wonderful. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy making another recycled craft out of an old box. So, bye-bye.